Your home for our Atlanta Falcons, Hawks, and Atlanta United. Your teams play here. Sports Radio 92.9, The Game.
I'm kind of curious, Mike. As you look at the Falcons right now, do you think that given we talk about the depth of the team, and they're going to decide tonight on a number of positions, that they're going to have, for the first time in a long time, some seriously, coin flip decisions at certain positions about who's going to make the roster and who isn't?
Well, some of the big battles, the good news is we've got so many guys that have balled out, and we've obviously, finally had money to spend. That's it. I mean, when you have salary cap hell, you look back at some of the guys. If somebody went down last year on defensive line, the guy plugged in's football card would have 3 teams in one calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
Practice squad guy.
Sure, of course.
So now we've got guys that are actually, experienced or young guys on the rise. We've got a combination of both on this team. The second-round players from like last year, like Ebba Katie, Richie Grant, previous draft, get a chance to shine. I'm excited. But, I mean, for me, right off the top of my head, I would say, what's the safety battle going to be? Because
DeMarco Helms certainly put his name into that.
Yeah, and the knock on him was they said he was a little stiff in coverage coming out of Bama, and all he's done has been a ball hawk in his preseason, right?
Right.
Then you get into some of the other positions, offensive line. I do think, John, we're going to probably move away, and it's time. It is what it is from Jalen Mayfield, and we'll probably look at other teams that are moving on from offensive linemen, maybe because they had too much quality there. Hopefully we can find a diamond in the rough and plug in better reserves for the offensive line. That would be my concern, especially since we lost Matt Hennessy for the season.
Yeah, depth on the offensive line is a bit of a concern. One of the things that's true about that 2016 Super Bowl team, you may or may not know this, is that offensive line, that Schrader team, the team that had Alex Mack, that offensive line, Chris Chester, they played every snap all season, okay? No injuries. Right? I'm just saying.
The only injury, ironically, happened in the NFC Championship game win over the Packers when Alex Mack broke his leg.
Right, exactly.
Or had a hairline. Nobody knew about it. I mean, they kind of slow-rolled it. And then Alex Mack was able to get through the first half, and then unfortunately the second half he started to struggle.
Right.
And that's when, as you saw, the Patriots dialed up the heat. One Devontae Freeman missed blitz. We're not reliving that. But yeah, that year though, it was Chris. Who was it? I got to look at the roster now. But we picked up Andy Levitri.
Right.
The year before.
Right.
And that was
Chris Chester.
Chris Chester. That was the one I couldn't think of from the Washington. It was at first, I got to be honest, Carl and I saw, wow, it's another, at the time you could say it was Redskins cast-off that had an affiliation with Shanahan, but that guy was money. He was rock solid at the right guard and left guard. So,
and it's been a joke of a position ever since.
Exactly right. This team had some dudes that just played as a unit cohesively from right to left. Ryan Schrader, you mentioned Chester, Alex Mack, Levitri at left guard, and of course Jake. So this year, I think with the emergence of Matthew Bergeron, you've got some solid pieces. I think Ryan Nuziel has shown himself to be a good, perhaps, swingman. If anything happens to Dahlman, you got a guy at center who can plug in right now.
Right, and of course your right side of the line has turned out to be pretty good. The 2 number 1 picks, you got 3 number 1 picks on that line, and both your tackles, and of course maybe the best guard in the NFL, and Chris Lindstrom. Wide
receiver wise, and some guys around the national media who don't know what we're about because we have running backs who catch the ball, tight ends who play like wide receivers. But Josh Ali, Kaderil Hodge, there's a couple of. I love Penny Hart in practice. Obviously, Scotty Miller is the slot guy. And
Scotty Miller's going to make the team.
But yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with that. But and then at tight ends, I heard Smoking Joe Patrick talking earlier with Andy Randy about this. We've got a bunch of tight ends, and I hate to lose the other guys. McCall Pruitt's really good. I know that we've joked around at the tight end position about, we got like 17 guys. The last time we had these many tight ends, it was Dan Reeves was coach. Remember? Right. He used to draft them all the time and bring them in. But we've got some dudes.
Because generally I think you have a situation with the wide receiver core that I tend to broaden out and say it's not really a wide receiver. Oh, well, their situation at wide receiver. First off, I don't think their situation at wide receiver is bad by any means. I think they have a burgeoning star in Drake London. I think they have a very durable and potentially very dynamic guy in Mac Hollins. But it's the passing game. Okay, you got to take it as you view it as a passing game because that's where you put Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts and CP84 and even Bijan Robinson. They're all part of the passing game, okay? Right. It's not a wide receiver core. This is not a vertical passing team, okay? I hope they can be vertical at times this year, right. But it's not a team that is destined and by design it's not Matt Ryan. It's not Julio Jones. It's not that kind of team.
But if you go back to the Tennessee Titans when they had A.J. Brown and you had Derrick Henry, the play action could set up the vertical passing game.
No. I want them to do vertical again, but that is not their bread and butter.
Right. I mean, we didn't see any of it in the preseason, for the most part. Intermediate. I mean, but then again, you got to also remember, guys, and this is hard for fans to get their head around, you didn't see the whole playbook, and there's no reason to show that. You're going to see, I think there's wrinkles and elements and mismatches. If you feel that the big play is going to be yards after the catch as opposed to 40 yards in the ground, 40 yards in the air, whatever. I think we're going to have explosive plays.
Oh, we're going to have explosive plays. But vertical passing is probably number 3 on the list. I mean, The first thing you want to do, A, run the ball. B, you want to do a intermediate range passing game where you can get yak, because you've got guys that can yak. Especially in guys like CP84 and Bijan Robinson. These are yak guys.
And it's good to have plenty of yak guys. Real quick, I mentioned the tight ends. The name I couldn't find, I just looked it up again. Out of Georgia, John Fitzpatrick. He looks kind of sluggish, and he looks kind of stiff. And all he does is make nice catches and make plays in preseason. So if he can obviously establish himself in a role on special teams, that's another guy. Of all the tight ends we've got, I wouldn't mind seeing make this football team.
All right, I got a question for you. Everything you've seen in the preseason so far, has it altered or changed your opinion just looking at the NFC South, Mike? Has it altered or changed your opinion on Carolina, on the Swampers, or on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I think it's us and the Saints. I think the Bucs will be better because, but Baker Mayfield is streaky. He can put some good ones together, then the wheels can come off. Still got some weapons at receiver. I think we're better than Carolina. It's going to come down to us and the Swampers, John. That's how we refer to the Saints because they got a better quarterback. That right now is Carr. Whatever you think of Carr, he's more established.
Sure.
Still got Cameron Jordan, but then again, we gutted their defense. We took 2 of their best defensive players, and not named Cameron Jordan,
and the guy that they think was, again, their head coach in waiting, and Ryan Nielsen.
Yeah, because for those who don't remember, Onyemata and Caden Ellis, who again he would have led the Falcons in sacks last year with 7 if he was on this roster. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I feel it's us and the Saints. I will say that at the beginning of camp, Carl and I, we always joke around about, we make these bold pronouncements, and Carl would be like, pull, talking about, let's go, get the ball out. Earlier in the camp, I thought there was some hesitancy with Ritter, and I think by the end of camp, and certainly what you saw in the preseason, the ball was coming out. He was making quicker decisions with the ball, and if he didn't see it, he would then take the yardage, especially when linebackers turned their back. He was scrambling and moving the chains. I like that.
Some of the fans have had some not stellar things to say about Taylor Heineke, and I keep saying, look, he's playing with the second unit. He's playing with guys that may not even be on the team. Put him in with the first unit, give him more protection, give him a little bit more time, give him a better running game, and see what he can do. I still think that as a backup, Taylor Heineke is a vast improvement. He's the, we say what you like about, Matt Schaub, but Matt Schaub as a backup, remember, the only 3 games that Ryan missed. In one of those games, Matt Schaub threw for 400 yards. I mean, Matt Schaub could play. Well, he was starting quarterback here for a reason in Atlanta. And so Taylor Heineke has been a starting quarterback, has that experience, so I have a lot of faith in that. So I'm excited to see what it's going to be when it comes to opening day in terms of the offense. But having said that, when Desmond Ridder says we still have things to clean up, I went, ay.
Well, I mean, yeah, you had penalties. He's talking about penalties. I wouldn't overread anything into that. They had a ton of penalties. And when's the last time you saw Chris Lindsey with 2 penalties in one game?
Especially one that was so bogus it wasn't funny.
Let alone 2 penalties in one drive.
Right.
That's not what Lindstrom does. Second one was complete nonsense.